All right, got you moved in here. So, this is our second video using this backing track and this one chord C7 kind of groove here. So, all right. And the other day we did this thing we featured mostly in that first video, this idea called a miniature arpeggio. It's just, any time you play the notes in a chord in a certain order, it's an arpeggio. Um, but, rather than do a real elaborate system of them all at once, we kind of broke it down into these three note things. And the main one that we focused on the other day, and I'll just recap that real quick, is we went from the third of the C up to the root and then down to that flat 7. So B flat for C. Okay. And then we did some, improvisation, but we were really targeting the end of our phrases, um, targeting that flat 7, letting that hang there and letting the backing track kind of change behind it so we can really let our ears bond with that. And here's some examples, and here's a good warm-up. We did this the other day too, is, you know, where you don't have to think about the notes much, but just go from root down to that flat 7 and back up just to get your ear acclimated, like this. Then okay, just kind of connected it with pentatonic stuff or whatever you're comfortable with. That's not a sequence of things that you need to copy me or somebody else doing that, right? It's the concept of it. And when you do that, your brain and your ear is really connecting your body to those notes, right? And later on, the more that you practice this method of improvisation, you'll find that your hand just starts seeking out those notes, even in areas where you haven't memorized where they are. That's a really cool feeling. And that'll happen for you if you do this kind of work and really invest in it. Now, today, we're just going to add a couple of elements to this. And one is a kind of a similar idea, but we're going to do some phrases where we target the third more. Okay, so we used the third a lot the other day, but we were starting on it a lot, like. Today, we're going to add to that licks where we kind of land or end on the third and let it hang out over the backing track, changing behind that note, and create more of a bond between our ears and that kind of harmony. It looks something like this. Okay, that might feel kind of awkward at first, right? Especially if you're used to doing a lot of minor pentatonic and blues scale stuff. Don't set that aside because it's going to go well with all this. In fact, you want to really get a mix of that pentatonic, blues scale sound and that major third. So here's what I mean. If we're, you know, now I went up there, okay, to just demonstrate that if we, you know, we also want to target up there. And here's a kind of an interesting little bit of analysis as an example that you can do yourself in different places. If we go back to that mini arpeggio, that third root flat 7, well, if we kind of do a sort of an inversion of that and use this higher version of the third that notes E, but still do the, hear how that's the same thing? This the same chord tones, but just it switches the direction. It inverts kind of the direction of it. And that's a real valuable little lesson and insight to improvising in general. This is the 5th. So that little kind of diamond shape right there, that's there's all kinds of buried treasure in there. Check this out. Let yourself go a little bit. Get that position down, and then I tried to get funky with it there, didn't I? And that's what you do. You're real mechanical. And I'm just kind of doing this kind of, almost, rudimentary sounding phrasings and melody, bouncing. And it sounds almost kind of, sing-along-ish. That's good. Because then when you drop down and put your bends in and put your other kind of dirty stuff in there, you got the best of both worlds, right? So that's a good little workout. Now, this is the last thing I'm going to show you on this, but this one's really going to kind of change it exponentially, but not by adding a bunch more work. So this is a big payoff for a little bit of extra work here. When you get up around this third, you can kind of do it down here too. I'm doing kind of the outsides and then that inside note. I'm just going to slow that down. I don't want to talk about it as much because you can kind of get the idea of it just by looking at that and then messing around with it and letting your ear get wrapped around that. Still that diamond is your frame. enclosures, that's called. And sometimes just walking that straight up. Now, listen to a little bit of that sort of thing mixed in here with some other basic kind of blues licks, and it'll really take off. Okay, don't want to run away with it on you, but I just want to give you a little kind of snapshot of what that's like when you really get comfortable and really get loosened up with that, and you can kind of let your mind go and let your fingers do the walk, and you're going to land on some treasure, and your body's going to remember that and map it out. Okay, this is a neurological process that involves a bunch of different things, not just looking at tab and things and memorizing it iconically. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but it's not the full version of the process, okay? So what I showed you was a map of where to look, not exactly what to play. All right? Have fun with this. Let me know how it works out for you. Take it easy.